And so now we're joined by our guest here in the studio, Viktoria Pogrebniak, activist from Euromaidan-Warsaw. Thank you for joining us today.
Pleasure to be with you.
Well, let's start with, as we just announced, so this day, actually what was called Victory Day, Ukraine moved this from actually to yesterday, so celebrating with other nations.
Yeah.
I think that's really significant. So tell us how this day matters and is perceived, especially today in Ukraine.
It's actually quite funny that not every people in Europe understand that, but there are indeed 2 days where people are celebrating or try to celebrate, in case of some countries, the Victory Day, so-called, or the Day of Memory of the Second World War. The most of the democratic world, the most of the countries are celebrating it on 8th of May, although there are some countries, specifically Russia and Belarus, that are celebrating it still 9th of May. That is not about the date, actually, but this date is specifically used by Russia and Belarus to show the whole world the propaganda picture of the perfect country that is fighting, that fought and actually got rid of the fascism in Europe. We actually do not agree with this quite a lot. I mean, how can you claim that you have fought and you have won over fascism if you are indeed the country that is bringing it back to Europe? So yeah, this day is specifically significant for Russia to bring this propagandic picture towards Europe, to show whole world how lovely they are celebrating it, how proud they are of being those winners who have won over fascism.
So what is the true picture? Are they really the winners, considering that, you know, the majority of the world is basically going against them at this point?
Yeah, definitely they are not winners here. Definitely they are not the one who got rid of fascism. In fact, quite hard to say that if they are the one who are killing people because they are Ukrainians, right? This is what truly fascism is about, right? Hating another nation, trying to exterminate it. Russia is doing exactly this. We do not agree with this, absolutely. And the symbol that we have done, the action that we have done on that day to ruin this propaganda picture was exactly aiming at that, right? To show the true picture to the European Union, show the whole picture to the world instead of the propaganda that Russia was trying to sell to the world.
It's also, I think, quite a day which I think we saw some images earlier today. May 9th is Europe Day, that very famous Schuman Declaration from 1950. We've seen that around different parts of Europe. As you represent Euromaidan, that Maidan, I think very much, if you remember, is one of the whole reasons why Ukraine wants to be part of the European family. It is part of the European family. So tell us a bit about May 9th as a I think, close significance also for Europe, for Ukrainians.
That a little bit farther away from the topic of the Second World War, but indeed, yes, Ukraine has done their decision. They have made their decision about being towards certain direction, I would say. So yeah, Ukraine has chosen already to be a part of European society, to be a part of the democratic world. We do not want to get any close to Russia anymore, and Russia, of course, is not agreeing with any decision that we are making by ourselves, right? So yeah, they are still trying to get back to that Soviet Union thing and trying to get all of the countries under the, let's say, totalitarianism under the authority of, so-called authority of Russia.
Mm-hmm.
So do you think that the very fact that there's been a full-blown invasion of Ukraine by Russia kind of catalyzed or maybe sped up the process of people really feeling like they want to be the part of the European Union?
In fact, yes, absolutely. We already made our decision before, right? And the war itself shown that we have made this decision right, and we need to keep it, and we are doing all of the steps to do it. Surely, again, it is not about the specific day, 9th of May, but yes, our decision was already chosen. Our decision was already pretty clear a lot of years ago, starting from the 2013, when people were coming on the streets to show their disagreement with the decision moving together with Russia. Again, here we showed, we used this moment, right, to not to show the European Union connection and not to show the choice, right, of certain side. We came on 9th of May. We actually did the action, we did a protest. We came to show the human values, most of it. We came with the dresses, with the names of the cities that are bombed right now, cities that have made indeed this decision about moving towards democratic world. And we came to ruin the picture of propaganda, ruin the picture of Russian ideal world, and we came with these names of the cities in order to simply show what indeed Russian world is and why we made the decision other way.
Yeah, and what the Russian world is. I mean, we've seen obviously Mr. Putin put on a show that with every year is increasingly getting smaller, less soldiers there, less parade vehicles, it's getting smaller. But also, I mean, that's one thing, it's in Russia. But now here in Warsaw, we've also seen today the Russian ambassador try to lay flowers on that Soviet grave where Russians, as you mentioned earlier. When you see something like that, I mean, how do ordinary Ukrainians interpret this? What are the emotions that come out of that?
The emotion is just furious. Can you imagine this? People who are killing another civilians, who are killing the whole population, who are trying to exterminate the whole population, they're bringing the flowers to say, hey, we are good guys, we actually fought and we are actually won over fascism. It's insane how European Union can still treat it. It's insane how people in European Union can still be the neighbors of such monsters that are coming and protecting the rights of Russia. So yeah, again, we use this moment to say, hey, this is not true and you do not belong here. You are the presence of the representative of Russia is actually the profanation of the cemetery, is profanation of the graves of those soldiers who have actually fought with fascism.
Honestly, I do not envy him. It must have been quite a challenge as well to know that you're representing a regime that is basically, conducting war operations in another country and being responsible for killing people. But it's quite interesting, don't you think it's quite interesting how there's also a different side to the story, because we look at those Soviet soldiers who died during World War II as the liberators, but when we look at the Polish society, there is a whole different picture of who those soldiers were, and now we're dealing with a war in Ukraine.
Well, the soldiers that are laying there on that memorial, actually, they're representative of many countries. In fact, there are representatives of Ukraine as well, and Poland as well. So people can have a different opinion, but the purpose of the memorial is still the same, right? They should be the memory of the people who were fighting against Nazism, against fascism, the thing that Russia is very much trying to bring up to Europe back. The society's opinion about that didn't change much, right? We're still having this this emotion of being so much afraid of having the situation again, right? Having the fascism again, being killed just because you belong to another nation, being killed because just you're belonging to another country. We still share the same emotions. And people who were coming to that memorial at today, like this day, they were having the same emotions, right? What on earth the representative of Russia is doing here, this is not the place for them.
Mm-hmm. But also, let's try and look at it in a different optics as well, because, I mean, obviously there is a lot of raw emotion, as Claudia has also said. I think that perception of view of Russians and Soviet Union during the Second World War, that's still something to be unpacked and digested and analyzed. But let's look at the positives for this day as well. I mean, I think it is another day where I think people can come together, remember Ukraine, remember its contribution, not just in the past, right, but
and it's a
also
celebration.
into the future, right?
It's also a celebration of those who are actively fighting for their country.
Yeah, so tell us a bit how this day also helps, I think, not just looking back, but also looking forward in Ukraine?
Yeah, we actually did quite a few already performances on that specific location, 9th of May. Again, we used this exactly day because the previous day was the day of the commemoration of the memory, so we did not have the the normal moral right to touch that day. But 9th of May is pretty a common day for almost everybody except a few countries. So yeah, we were using this occasion not only to interrupt the propaganda, but also to show the effort and the heroism of the people who are actually still fighting with the terrorists, with the fascists. And yeah, we are still using it. Last year, for example, we were making the huge installation to show the world the real picture of Russia, to show the world the real picture of the cities that were bombed. This year, we came as mothers, as women, as sisters, as daughters of those who are fighting on the real front line. And we were showing, yes, our men, our family may be right now fighting in Ukraine on the front line, but here we are, the women that are left behind the front line, and we are here to do something, at least something with bare hands, at least to show there are disagreement, at least to show the consequences of this brutal war, because this is what we can. We cannot fight for Ukraine on the front line because, well, we are women and we do not belong, let's say, to that category. We are just not prepared. But there are still things we can do. What we can do is to show what the real picture is.
But I think it's also the part of activism, you know, knowing that this is the fight that you're fighting this very moment. And it's incredibly important both for everyone here and I suppose for the people at home.
Yeah, and I think, as you said, showing togetherness, showing unity, whether that's women or men, I think showing an important sign of remembrance and respect, as you said, for your country of Ukraine, which I think the world is paying attention to. Absolutely. Well, look, thank you so much, Viktoria Pogrebniak. Thanks for sharing all that on this day.
Pleasure from my side.
Thank you.